Thank you so much, Moses, for having me once again. I am happy to be here. And today I'll just dive into the question, like you already asked. Some of the procedures or the steps that anyone should know out there for giving first aid is we have what we call a rescue chain. And for anyone to survive an accident or an emergency, they need to complete the rescue chain lest they lose out on a life, because that chain breaks at its weakest link, which we shall see as I explained. So to just break it down for you quickly, normally we have what we call safety. In our previous episode, we talked about safety first, and it comes first in case you have, for example, here at the radio where I'm being hosted, in case someone got a camera falling on them and maybe it cuts them at the leg and they're bleeding. Before you actually attack the area, you have to make sure that the scene is safe. You have to make sure if it's a camera or a stage that has fallen, you have to be sure there's no other stage coming to fall again before you even go and help this person.
Yes.
Because you, the person giving first aid, your safety is very important before you actually make sure even that person you're helping is safe.
Yes.
So always first ensure the scene is safe. Make sure the place is safe. There are no other falling debris or materials that are going to cut you as you give first aid, because then this will next you to the next process. So after the scene is safe, you approach the patient, see what their condition is, what we would call the ABCD approach.
ABCD approach.
Yes, ABCD approach. But before even you go to the ABCD approach, as you ensure the scene is safe, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to dial for help, the emergency number that you have.
Before helping this person,
you've reached the scene.
Yes.
And you have put your phone down.
Yes.
And you're assessing the condition.
Okay.
So the first thing you do before you touch the phone is assess the ABCD, which is airway. Check for airway.
Yes.
Is this person breathing?
Yes.
Can they actually hear you?
Yes.
So normally when we're checking for airway, breathing, saturation, deformity and exposure, on air we make sure that you do AVPU, which is alertness, voice, pain, and unresponsiveness. So normally
alertness, call the person.
Yes.
Moses.
Yeah. And then they're not hearing you.
Okay.
Then voice, you still call the person, and then they can't hear you. You can't get a voice from them. So now you go ahead to inflict pain on them. So normally we have what we call the tricuspid valves, somewhere around here. Is where you press, so that you make sure the person
somewhere around the neck, cause for purposes of people listening to us on the podcast. Yes, you
press somewhere around the neck to make sure that the person either shakes themselves, and if they're unresponsive, then you go ahead to do other steps. So that is on the airway, breathing, saturation, deformity, and exposure. So in case the person is responsive, then look for any other part on their body, like are they bleeding? Had they ever cut? Are they deformed? What is wrong with them that you can now help as you call the first aid?
Okay.
In case they're not responsive, start CPR immediately. That is cardiopulmonary resuscitation at the chest, in between the chest and the breasts here. We have what you call a sternum bone. If you can touch, you can feel it.
Yes.
So immediately, if the person is unresponsive, you start CPR immediately and then you call for help. So normally, if you have bystanders, like Ugandans, they'll always be around. They'll be around, so you just ask one bystander to dial. You read them the number. Normally, we have these numbers off our heads. Or if you don't have anyone's number off your head, it's okay. Make sure that you get someone to use your phone and tell them what the password is and etc. Because then this person's life depends on you. You cannot stop CPR if you started it.
Oh.
Yes.
The moment you start,
you can't stop until you get emergency, ambulance coming on. So you're going to start CPR as you call for help. So imagine you are now giving CPR and then the calling for help is going on.
Yes.
So when you call for help, you make sure you're checking anything. Now that's what we call first aid.
Yes.
Yeah. You're making sure, are they bleeding? You're attacking bleeding by putting maybe a bandage, a roller bandage, a triangular bandage, and tying that area. Do they have a dislocation? You're making sure you're elevating the arm. Do they have a fracture? You're immobilizing the fracture using a good first aider must be resourceful.
Yes.
Any papers around you.
Use anything around you.
Exactly. If it's maybe a cut, maybe a snake bite or something, you tie a tourniquet above that part that is affected. Now, a tourniquet, most cases we use a hanky. In case you don't have it, you tie it, but make sure you've called for help. So now as you've called for help, that help is coming. But when you're calling for help, they are going to ask you, how old is this person? Where are you? What has happened to them? So that they also know which equipment to come with along.
Just